Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Woohoon. God level selection for instant upgrades. Chapter 111. Qi Ling had not had this kind of ominous premonition for a long time, because this feeling was exactly the premonition that he would have when Tang San and Xiao Wu were in danger. Qi Ling immediately set off without any further delay, heading towards Shrek Academy. Now that Qi Ling has gained a new soul ring, and it is also a speed-type martial soul, the Blood Demon Emperor, his speed is naturally faster. In less than 2 hours, he has completed the journey that previously took a day and rushed back to Shrek Academy. Master, Mistress, Xiao Wu, where are you? As soon as he entered the academy, Qi Ling immediately began to look for everyone, but he didn't even see anyone. At this moment, Zhu Zuqing suddenly appeared in front of Qi Ling. His face looked very haggard, one hand was even covered with a plaster, and even his hair was inexplicably shorter. Zuqing, what's going on? How could you be so seriously injured? Who did it? Qi Ling said in shock and anger when he saw Zhu Zuqing's appearance. I'm fine. These are just minor injuries. Qi Ling, you'd better go check on Xiao San and Xiao Wu. Zhu Zuqing said and hurriedly led Qi Ling to the infirmary. The two quickly arrived at the infirmary. As soon as they opened the door, they saw everyone from Shrek Academy standing inside, looking sad and depressed. Seeing Qi Ling's return, everyone showed expressions of surprise. Ning Rongrong cried so hard that she threw herself into Qi Ling's arms. Qi Ling, you are finally back. Woo-hoo-hoo, you come and look at Tang San and Xiao Wu. Needless to say, Ning Rongrong, Qi Ling also started searching for Tang San and Xiao Wu as soon as he came in, and then saw their figures on the 2 beds in the medical room. Xiao Wu's forehead and 2 thighs were covered with white bandages, and she was lying there with a look of pain on her face. Tang San's injuries were even more serious. It seemed that his whole body was covered in bandages. He was extremely weak. There was no expression on his face, and he seemed to have fallen into a deep coma. Bang! A crisp sound came, and everyone looked at the sound, but it was a cup placed on the table that suddenly broke into 2 halves. Immediately afterwards, everyone felt a breath of destruction emanating from Qi Ling's body, causing everything around him to tremble uncontrollably, as if they were about to collapse at any time. What shocked everyone even more was that the eyes of Qi Ling, who had always been kind and gentle, were now completely congested and turned red, with a terrifying look radiating from them, which shocked everyone. Qi Ling, calm down quickly. If you do this, it will affect Xiaosan and Xiao Wu's injuries. Yu Xiaogang hurriedly stopped in front of Qi Ling and stopped him. The reason provided by Yu Xiaogang was obviously something Qi Ling could not refuse, so everyone felt that the terrible pressure like a volcanic eruption gradually subsided, but was only suppressed into an active volcano that was about to erupt. Qi Ling, who suppressed his anger, immediately came to the 2 of them and checked their injuries. Although the teachers at Shrek Academy were all very capable, they were not proficient in medical treatment and could do nothing to deal with their symptoms. And here, besides Qi Ling, the one with the highest medical skills is Tang San, who is lying on the bed, so when Tang San also falls down, he will naturally be unable to use his medical skills. But with Qi Ling here, it would be different. Qi Ling, who was already proficient in Hua Tuo Ji Shi Jing, when it came to medical skills, I am afraid that no one in the world could surpass him, even Tang San would have to be inferior. Putting his hand on Xiao Wu's neck, Qi Ling used his true dragon energy to start to explore Xiao Wu's situation. Xiao Wu seemed to feel the breath on Qi Ling's body, and the pained look on his brows was much less. The more Qi Ling probed into Xiao Wu's injuries, the more he couldn't suppress the anger in his heart. When had his sister ever been injured like this? In some places, the injuries could even reach the bone. Although Xiao Wu had multiple external injuries on her body, and the injuries on both thighs were so severe that she could not walk, what really caused her so much pain that she was unconscious was the blue thunder and lightning swirling inside her body. Force. This power is based on thunder and lightning, constantly destroying the flow of soul power in Xiao Wu's body, causing her soul power to be unable to function in time, and thus Xiao Wu's injuries cannot be repaired. You dare to be so presumptuous even though you are so small. A golden light flashed in Qi Ling's eyes, and the dragon's power was released without anger. The true dragon energy turned into a golden dragon shape and caught up with the purple thunder dragon. In order to prevent Xiao Wu's injury from worsening, Qi Ling could only go all out. The golden dragon came up from behind and tightly entangled the blue thunder dragon. Although the blue thunder dragon struggled violently unwillingly, it was just some remaining rootless power. It had no capital to fight against Qi Ling's true dragon energy, and was quickly strangled and disappeared. After the blue thunder dragon disappeared, the soul power in Xiao Wu's body resumed flowing and began to gradually repair her injuries. The painful look between her brows gradually disappeared and she fell into a deep sleep. Okay, Xiao Wu is fine now. Rongrong, go and prepare a pair of these medicines for Xiao Wu to take, and then you can recover after getting more rest. Qi Ling handed Ning Rongrong a prescription. Afterwards, Qi Ling immediately began to check Tang San's injuries. After this check, Qi Ling could not control the anger in his heart and exploded on the spot. Tang San's injuries were much more serious than Xiao Wu's, and because he had Xuantiancong to protect his body, the strange thunder and lightning energy did not remain in his body. There is only one reason why Tang San fell unconscious: exhaustion. He fought to the end, exhausted all his physical and soul power, and then overstretched his body's potential, and finally fell down. One can imagine what kind of difficult battle he went through. If it was just Tang San, Qi Ling believed that even if he couldn't defeat him, there would be no problem in escaping or admitting defeat. There must be other reasons that would cause him such a result and make him choose to fight to the end. As for Tang San's injuries, the treatment was very simple, so simple that there was no other way, to regulate his body so that his body could recover its strength on its own. In other words, there is no other way but to stand up on his own. Even the Xuantiancong that Qi Ling gave him had little effect, and the overdraft of potential was not something that could be easily recovered. I'll excuse you for a moment, Qi Ling said, got up and left the medical room. After a while, there was an earth-shattering sound from outside the door. Someone who didn't know where had suffered a crime, became the target of Qi Ling's venting. After the continuous sound ended, Qi Ling returned to the medical room again. There was no longer that crazy anger in his eyes, and what was left was just a cold indifference to everything. For him now, all kindness and mercy are gone, and there is only one thing he wants to do: tear into pieces the enemy who caused all this. Ah, Qi Ling, your hand. Ning Rongrong suddenly covered her mouth and looked at Qi Ling's hand. Others also discovered that Qi Ling's right hand was dripping with blood. This blood was obviously shed just now, which means that these wounds were caused by Qi Ling himself just now. He could only cause such serious injuries by not using soul power and directly venting it with his fists. Seeing this scene, everyone lowered their heads. If you ask Tang San or Xiao Wu, who suffered the most from being injured, it was undoubtedly Qi Ling, the older brother. No one could compare to this. Qi Ling, if you want to fight, just hit me. I'm useless. Dai Mubai suddenly stood up and said, it was because I didn't block the opponent's main attack that the formation was scattered. This everything is my fault. No, you have to blame me. It's because I was useless and failed to pose a sufficient threat to them, that's why they rushed over unscrupulously, and our rear position fell. Ma Hongjun also said at this time. Blame me for being useless, that's why the other party used it as a breakthrough, causing everyone to be so passive. If I had been more useful, it wouldn't be like this. Oscar said. And me, Xiaoao and I have become a burden to everyone. Just to protect us, we let the other side take advantage of us. Ning Rongrong also said while crying. Although Zhu Zuqing did not speak, everyone could see the apology and guilt in her eyes. She felt that she was unworthy of Qi Ling's trust. Even though she had gained such power, she still failed to prevent the team's failure. Qi Ling looked at the few people scrambling to take responsibility and felt a little relieved. Only in this way can they be like a team and have a team spirit. If they don't even dare to face failure, what can such a team do? Stop talking, I can see that each of you has tried your best, and the fault of the failure is not yours. Qi Ling said to everyone, if anyone is wrong, it is only one person, it is me. I should have thought of it. The plot has changed so much and your enemies may have become stronger. But I didn't take precautions in advance, which led to this tragedy. Although they couldn't understand what Qi Ling was saying, everyone understood that Qi Ling was comforting everyone in his own way. While feeling comforted, they also made up their minds to become stronger and not let this happen. Occurs. The injuries of Xiaosun and Xiaowu are fine. Now we just need to wait for them to recover on their own. Qi Ling said, then, Master, Dean, I have something to ask you too. Flanders and Yu Shaogang originally had serious faces. After hearing what Qi Ling said, they didn't know what he wanted to do, so Flanders asked, Qi Ling, what are you talking about? Dean, I want to ask you to make another appointment with the Imperial Battle Team. Qi Ling said, this time, I will do it. Everyone felt the soaring anger and fighting spirit from Qi Ling's words. This was the first time that they saw Qi Ling so obsessed with a battle. Don't worry, Qi Ling, this matter will be taken care of by me. I will contact Director Ao of the Great Soul Fighting Arena immediately. Flanders said. Then, Master, I also have something to ask you. Qi Ling looked at Master and said, please tell me, who is the member of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family in the Imperial Fighting Team? Hearing Qi Ling's words, Yu Shaogang was shocked and subconsciously said, Qi Ling, how do you know this is the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex? It's very simple. Only the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex martial spirit can cause the injuries on both of them, and it's not an ordinary martial spirit. It must be an 8th grade or above top grade Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. Qi Ling affirmed. Said. I want to see who is the genius in the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex who can actually have such a talent. Hearing Qi Ling's words, Yu Shaogang was even more shocked. Blue Dot Tyrannosaurus classified the quality of martial souls by grade. This was information only known within the sect. How did he know? But now that Qi Ling had asked these words, he had no reason to hide it. What's more, Tang San was injured, and he, as a teacher, was also heartbroken. Even his nephew should be taught a lesson. There is indeed a disciple of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus family in the Imperial Fighting Team. He is the captain of the Imperial Fighting Team, Yu Tianba. Yu Shaogang said. Isn't it Yu Tianong? Qi Ling said in surprise. No wonder the plot is so wrong. Even the people have been changed. Who is this Yu Tianba? Do you know this child Tian Heng? Yu Shaogang asked in surprise. That child Tian Heng is indeed very talented, but because Tianba is here, he did not come to Wangdu Academy, but went to another academy. Oh, he can actually squeeze out Yu Tianongdu to this extent. What is so different about this Yu Tianba? Qi Ling asked curiously. As Qi Ling said before, only the 8th grade Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex and above can cause such damage. Yu Shaogang said, before Yu Tianba, only the clan leader of the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus family could do that. At the 8th level, no one else is as good as him. But Yu Tianba, his Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Dragon Spirit, is born at the 9th level. He is truly a once-in-a-century genius. I see. No wonder Shaosun loses to him. Qi Ling said. No, Qi Ling, you are wrong. If it were just like this, Shaosun with the 8 spider spears would not lose to Tianba. Yu Shaogang continued, the reason why Shaosun lost is because Tianba has one thing that can determine victory or defeat. What is it? Master, please stop showing off. I don't have the patience now. Qi Ling said. Ahem, that's a soul bone that's most suitable for the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex, enough to transform him. Yu Shaogang said, Thunder's right arm bone. Hearing this, Keelington suddenly understood why Tang San lost. The reason why the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus is called the world's best offensive beast martial spirit is because of its two characteristics, electricity and transformation. Starting from the Soul Master, the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus will gradually begin to transform into a dragon, and most of them will be their right arm. This will also become their strongest attack method. It has the attribute of thunder and lightning, and it is also a right arm bone. This soul bone strengthens Yu Tianba's ability to the greatest extent, directly pulling his strength to a realm that does not belong to this level. Not to mention the Soul Lord, even the Soul Sect and even the Soul King, Yu Tianba has the power to fight. This soul bone gives him a powerful combat power that exceeds his level. Everyone was silent when they heard this, because of the strength of their enemy and the slim hope of revenge. They didn't know how they were going to fight such a powerful opponent. Ding dong. It is detected that the host is facing a choice. Please make a choice among the following options. Close black lens bracket. Option 1. Give up challenging the Imperial Fighting Team, retain your strength, and get rewards. Soul Power level +1, Shrek's favorability -20%, and get the title, Defeat Without a Fight. Option 2. Fight with everyone from Shrek, make a plan, defeat the Imperial fighting team, and get rewards, soul power level +1, rare grade herbs +1, and gold soul coins +100. Option 3. There are no restrictions on means or methods. The host defeats the Imperial battle team alone and gets rewards, soul power level +1, a special soul guide, and a Starry Sky enchantment ticket. After reading the 3 options given by the system this time, Qiling couldn't help but sneer. Can you defeat the Royal Do Sentai alone? It just so happens that this is exactly what I plan to do. As for the rewards given by the system, Qiling no longer cares about it at this time. All he thinks about is how to defeat Huangdo and avenge Xiao San and Xiao Wu. If he can do this, he will have nothing to ask for. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for choosing option 3, defeating the Imperial battle team alone, and has received the reward, +1 soul power level, a special soul guide, and a Starry Sky enchantment ticket. Close black lens bracket. A special soul guide has been added to your backpack, please check it as soon as possible and use it with caution. Close black lens bracket. Master, is this all? When everyone was silent, Qiling suddenly said, isn't there anything special about this Utianba other than that? Everyone felt a little confused when they heard Qiling's question and didn't understand what he meant. Isn't this strong enough? Top martial soul, level 39 soul power, top quality soul bone, peerless genius, I can't think of a more desperate combination than this. It seems there's nothing else. Yu Xiaogang didn't know what to say. Aren't these special enough? You are already ridiculously strong, okay. Well, that's it. I thought he had some tricks up his sleeve. Qiling sneered, if that's the case, I'll be relieved. He's no match for me. Although you are a peerless genius and even have the same fate as the protagonist, I'm sorry, but I'm cheating. Haha, I knew Boss Chi must have a way. That big blue lizard must be no match for Boss Chi. Ma Hongjun said happily. When others heard what Qiling said, they immediately felt confident. Indeed, as long as the most difficult Utianba is solved, the Imperial fighting team is not invincible. Qiling, give us the order, just like before. Dai Mubai said at this time, we will definitely avenge our shame and defeat the Royal Do team. No, Mubai, there are others. Although I'm sorry for you, I plan to fight in this battle alone. Just as everyone was gearing up to fight, Qiling suddenly poured cold water on everyone. What? Qiling, you? Dai Mubai and others were immediately stunned. Going on stage alone. What is this operation? Although the number of people in the team cannot exceed 10, it has never been said that less than 7 people cannot play. Qiling said, everyone, I'm sorry, please let me do whatever I want for once. Imperial battle team, I will defeat them all by myself. Everyone looked at Qiling's firm eyes and understood what decision Qiling had made, and they couldn't help but start praying for the Royal Do team. They had no idea what kind of monster they had provoked. Perhaps Qiling is usually easy to talk to, and most of them adopt a tolerant attitude towards those enemies and will not embarrass them too much. But once someone hurts the people around him, Qiling will transform into Shira, causing the other person to taste all the pain and regret being his enemy. Qiling, can't I even play? Ning Rongrong came to Qiling's side, and with him was Zhu Zuqing. Looking at the two girls with worried faces, Qiling felt warm in his heart and said, don't worry, I didn't do anything impulsively, but I did it with absolute certainty. If I can't defeat the Royal Fighter team alone, this victory will be meaningless. I think they should be very proud of winning a game. I want them to know that it's not Shrek who has no one, but they didn't come at the right time. Seeing Qiling being so determined, everyone couldn't help but compromise. Dai Mubai said, Qiling, let them see how powerful our Shrek is. Ma Hongjun said with a smile, hey, Boss Chi is on the field alone, so this battle will be the easiest win in history. Oscar said solemnly, Boss Chi, it's up to you. We believe in you and we must make them pay the price. After that, everyone withdrew from the medical room, letting Xiao Wu and Tang San have a good rest and recover as soon as possible. Qiling went to learn more about the Huangdu team with Yu Xiaogang. After all, if you know yourself and the enemy, you can fight 100 battles with no danger. According to Yu Xiaogang's description, except for this Yu Tianba, the other members of the Imperial fighting team have not changed much and are still the same familiar characters. Jade Phosphorus Snake Venom Du Guyan, Ghost Leopard Oslo, Wind Chime Bird Yufeng, the Shi Family Brothers, the Strongest Shield, and the mysterious Nine-Hearted Begonia Yi Lingling. Although these people are also indispensable characters for the Imperial fighting team, they do not constitute threaten. Qi Ling, you want to fight against the Royal Dou team alone, but do you have any strategy? Yu Xiaogang asked curiously in his room. After all, if he specifically asked himself to play alone, most people would think that Qi Ling must have some special tactics and was afraid of hurting his teammates, so he did this. No, Qi Ling said very bachelorly. Ah, then why did you? Yu Xiaogang asked puzzled. Because there is no room for them to perform. Qi Ling said, and I can't guarantee whether the arena will turn into a hell on earth by then. It's better not to let them come. After listening to what Qi Ling said, Yu Xiaogang could only sigh. This time, I'm afraid he won't be able to save his nephew. At this moment, Dean Flender pushed in the door and said, Qi Ling, I have helped you contact Director Ao of the Great Soul Fighting Arena, but Director Ao is not willing to accept our request easily, is he? Qi Ling said lightly. Huh, how do you know? Flanders asked curiously. Yes, Director Ao said that it is difficult for him to accept our request. I'm afraid it will be difficult to compete with the Royal Dou team. This is also reasonable. I must have lost all my wealth in the Great Soul Fighting Arena when I had a bet with the Royal Dou team. If I want to compete again, I'm afraid I will have to bet on the Great Soul Fighting Arena. Qi Ling said. Then what should we do? The Great Soul Fighting Arena refuses to accept the competition, so we won't be able to compete with the Imperial fighting team. Flanders said melancholy. They will accept it. Qi Ling affirmed, Dean, please help me arrange a meeting with Director Ao, and I will find a way to make him accept it. Manager Ao of the Great Soul Fighting Arena quickly agreed to Qi Ling's request. At noon, Qi Ling and Flender arrived at the VIP room of the Great Soul Fighting Arena. Director Ao was already waiting inside. Director Ao, who was originally high-spirited and magnanimous, seemed to have aged more than 10 years in the past few days. Not only did his temples turn gray, but his face lost the confidence that he had everything under control. Please take a seat, Dean Flender, and this kid Qi Ling. Director Ao said to the two of them. Just call me Qi Ling. Qi Ling said helplessly. That's fine, Manager Ao said nonchalantly. Qi Ling, since you want us to start a new game between Shrek and the Royal Dou team, do you know how much we lost in the previous game? Money. Qi Ling shook his head helplessly. He really didn't know about this. Let's put it this way, because of losing this game, the Great Soul Fighting Arena has lost all its working capital and owes all the major families a huge amount of money. If we lose again, we can only use the Great Soul Fighting Arena itself as compensation, so this game is equivalent to putting everyone's everything on the line. Manager Ao looked at Qi Ling and said, Can you understand? I understand, so that's why I'm here. Qi Ling said, Shrek will never lose the next game. Director Ao shook his head and said with a wry smile, There is no guarantee of victory in a battle. Although I don't blame Shrek for defeat, I can't afford such a big risk. Director Ao, Qi Ling said, raising his head and looking directly into Director Ao's eyes, please believe me. Director Ao thought that he would never change his mind because of anyone, but when he saw Qi Ling's eyes, he was shaken. Those eyes are so bright and dazzling, as if the sun's rays live inside them. People can't help but feel full of courage after looking at them, and they can't help but want to believe in him. After a long silence, Director Ao suddenly said, I need to give you a test, can you accept it? Okay, Qi Ling agreed. So Manager Ao gave an order to his men, who immediately ran away to call the person he was talking about. Manager Ao also explained, the person coming later is Zyba, the chief appraiser in our big soul fighting arena. With the strength of Soul Saint, he can most intuitively see the value of a player and judge his strength. In the past days, Mr. Siba's appraisal has never been wrong, which is one of the keys to our long-term prosperity. Director Ao continued, as long as you can pass Mr. Siba's appraisal, I will do it for you. You hold a competition with the Royal Fighter team. Okay, Qi Ling said calmly again. Not long after, Zyba, the chief appraiser of the Great Soul Fighting Arena, arrived. He was a middle-aged man with a short beard and a fat belly. It was impossible to tell that he was a Soul Saint level master, but the glint in his eyes from time to time tells everyone what he is capable of. Director Ao, where is the person you want to identify? I heard that they are going to fight against the royal fighting team. Ziba asked as soon as he entered the door. If they are not the top players, I don't think they can win. Mr. Siba, the people I want to show you are still the Shrek team we saw last time, but there is one more person. Director Ao said. Huh, you want to defeat the Royal Do team with just one more person? It's too overestimating your capabilities. Ziba said with a smile. Forget it, let me take a look first, maybe there will be a miracle it's happening. Then, Ziba looked at Qi Ling, but at this glance, the disdainful expression on his face froze, and gradually changed to a serious look. Excuse me, can you show me your hands? Ziba already spoke with honorifics, which was completely different from his previous attitude, which surprised people. Qi Ling didn't have any special ideas. He stretched out his hand generously and placed it in front of Ziba. After seeing Qi Ling's hand, Ziba seemed to confirm some of his thoughts, and said with emotion, as expected. As expected, being able to see such a genius, I really have no regrets in this life. After saying that, Ziba actually turned around and left. Manager Ao was startled, then chased after him and said, Mr. Ziba, why did you leave before the test? Did you not want to do the appraisal? No, I'm done identifying him. Siba said. What's the result? Manager Ao asked in surprise. He didn't see what Ziba did to test Keeling. We must win. After saying these two words, Ziba left without looking back. Director Ao, who looked puzzled, returned to his seat and thought about what Ziba said. In all these years, there has never been a person worthy of Ziba's description of must win. Is this Qi Ling really so different? Okay, Qi Ling. Manager Ao made up his mind. Since Mr. Ziba said so, then I will choose to believe you. I'm going to prepare for the match between you and the Royal Fighter team. When do you think the match can take place? The faster, the better. If we can compete today, that would be the best. Qi Ling said. Director Ao wanted to say something else, but when he saw Qi Ling's expression, he immediately slapped his thigh and said, okay. Then I will bet the fate of everyone in the Great Soul Fighting Arena on you. In the number 3 VIP lounge of the Soto Grand Spirit Arena, the Imperial Fighter team, which won a great victory yesterday, is resting here. And just now, they got another good news. The Shrek team, which had suffered a heavy defeat to them yesterday, actually challenged them again. Ah, are you still here? Are these losers addicted to beatings? Ghost Leopard Oslo was sitting against a window. Hearing the news, he couldn't help laughing. HMPH, I don't know who it was yesterday, but I was actually chased by a girl whose soul power was 3 levels lower than my own. In the end, I had to come and save her. Yu Feng on the other side couldn't help but feel proud when he saw Oslo's proud look, said sarcastically. You guy, are you looking for a fight? Oslo's face turned red and he said angrily, but he could not refute Yu Feng's words. The black-haired woman he met yesterday was truly the most powerful agility-type soul master among the soul masters he had ever seen. During the entire battle, she not only suppressed herself throughout the entire battle, but in the end, she even faced a double attack from herself and Yu Feng. She was simply ridiculously strong. Okay, Oslo, Yu Feng, you two, stop arguing. Although she is very strong, we are the ones who win, aren't we? A lazy voice came, interrupting the quarrel between the two. The speaker was the woman sitting on the sofa. Her body was as soft and boneless as a water snake, which highlighted an amazing curve. Her short dark purple hair looked very heroic, but her emerald green eyes were full of coquettishness. Her charm has raised her temperament to several levels. This person is naturally the vice captain of the Imperial Fighting Team, the granddaughter of Poison Duluo Dugu Bo, and the owner of the Jade Phosphorus Snake Spirit, Dugu Yan. Dugu Yan was lying on the sofa, her white jade feet gently sliding, and she said seductively, "Can't you two be quieter? You see, the Shi brothers are very calm, unlike you two." All the same. Oslo looked at Dugu Yan's charm, couldn't help but swallowed, and said, "I said, Yanzi, can you not always challenge our limits like this? We are also a group of virgins, what kind of impulse does this thing cause? But it's not good." But before Oslo finished speaking, a burst of thunder and lightning sounded. A man sitting on another sofa glared and said, "What are you trying to do? Don't you want to die?" Oslo's face changed, and he immediately knew that he had said the wrong thing, and he touched the boss's forbidden area, and said hurriedly, "No, no. Boss, I mean that I had this impulse to want to fight with Yufeng. You look how much he deserves a beating." The man who makes Oslo so afraid is naturally the new captain of the Imperial fighting team, Yu Tianba, who replaces Yu Tianong. Compared with Yu Tianong, Yu Tianba's appearance is more masculine, and he looks like a tough guy. After scolding Oslo, he said, "Team Shrek is really worthless. Apart from that Tang San, there is no opponent for me at all. Since they don't know how to live or die and still dare to challenge us, then we will defeat them again. Let them remember it for a long time." Du Guyan also smiled at this time and said, "Okay. Then it's all up to Tianba. I'll hide in the back with Ling Ling and watch the show." The Ling Ling that Du Guyan was talking about was naturally the auxiliary soul master of the Imperial battle team, Juxin Haitang Yi Ling Ling. At this time, she was standing in the corner of the room dressed in black, only revealing her long blue hair that looked like a waterfall. She did not show any emotion, only exuding endless loneliness and loneliness. "Okay, you're welcome at any time," Yi Lingling said, but although his voice was pleasant, it was extremely hollow, giving people an extremely unreal feeling. "When we win this time, we should be able to earn more money than we can spend in a few lifetimes." Yu Tianba looked at Du Guyan with fiery eyes and said, "Yanzi, can you accept me now?" Quote, Yu Tianba has a soft spot for Du Guyan, which everyone can see, but Du Guyan doesn't want to agree to him casually, so he said, "Tianba, have you forgotten? I said that only the strongest only a man can be worthy of me. Can't I be considered the most powerful person now? In the Soul Master realm, no one is my opponent." Yu Tianba said, "Yanzi, just promise me." "Well, okay," Du Guyan said, "in this case, I will give you a chance and wait until you win this game." Hearing Du Guyan's words, Yu Tianba couldn't help but be ecstatic. He naturally knew who Du Guyan's grandfather was, so he could never use force against her, he could only win her heart. During this period of time, he had tried his best, but could not make her fall in love with him. Now that he finally had a chance, Yu Tianba couldn't help but be extremely excited. Du Guyan, on the other hand, didn't care much about this. To be honest, Yu Tianba is not her ideal partner. Although he is strong enough, for some reason, he cannot move her heart. Maybe he has no choice but to make it. Alas, I wonder when I will meet the man who can completely conquer me. While everyone in the Imperial fighting team was talking, their leader Qin Ming walked in and said with a gloomy face, "The battle between you and Shrek Academy is scheduled for tonight, and it will still be held in the main arena of the Great Soul Fighting Arena. In today's battle, no matter you win or lose, you are not allowed to be so harsh. Do you hear me?" After what happened yesterday, Qin Ming, who was originally from Shrek, had no chance to recognize Flanders and others, so Shrek and the others went back to the academy. If something like that happened again today, Qin Ming would be too embarrassed to see his teachers, so today he came here specifically to warn everyone not to be cruel. "Yes, teacher, we must pay attention," Yu Tianba said, but he didn't think so in his heart. He was injured because he was weak. Can he blame me for being too harsh? If you are so afraid of getting hurt, just don't come to the competition. If there is a chance, I will never show mercy. Qin Ming looked at Yu Tianba's expression and knew that he didn't take his words to heart, but he had no choice but to stop the game in time if the situation was not right. Because he cannot stop this game. Its essence is a gambling battle between the major families and the big soul fighting arena. It is a competition of capital. How can he, a teacher, control it? And I heard that this time the bets between the two sides were even more astonishing. After yesterday's battle, the major families had more confidence in Yu Tianba. Knowing that they dared to challenge in the Great Soul Fighting Arena, they naturally doubled their bets regardless of the cost. The Great Soul Fighting Arena has already staked all its assets, including the Soul Fighting Arena itself. It can be said that this is their last stand and they absolutely cannot afford to lose. What on earth gave the Great Soul Fighting Arena such courage to make such an astonishing decision? Qin Ming couldn't help but feel curious. Although the child from yesterday, Tang San, was already astonishingly talented, it was a pity that he still failed to defeat Yu Tianba. So now, does it mean that the Great Soul Fighting Arena has found a more powerful person? Anyway, you can take care of yourself in this competition. After saying that, Qin Ming took the lead to walk out, and the rest of the Imperial fighting team followed closely behind him, heading towards the Great Soul fighting field together. On the main stage in the center of the Soto Grand fighting arena, the atmosphere was already extremely lively before the game even started. Yesterday, Shrek and the Royal Fighter team gave a wonderful game. Today, they learned that they will have a second game. Every audience bought their tickets early in excitement, fearing that they would not be able to get a seat by then. However, although both teams are powerful enough, people still feel that the winner must be the Royal Do team. The reason is for no other reason. The combination of Yu Tianba and Thunder's right arm bone is really invincible. With him in the Royal Do team, it's like being invincible. In the VIP area of the auditorium, several old men were sitting there with eager expressions on their faces. If Team Royal Fighter wins today, the money they win will be equivalent to the family's income for several years. How can this not make people happy? Hey, I don't know why Shrek and the Great Soul fighting arena are so crazy. They are rushing to give us money. I really don't even think about it. An old man said with a lewd smile, and others also agreed. When we win this game, the Great Soul fighting arena will belong to us. This is a cornucopia, and no amount of money can buy it. That guy, Director Ao, is so stupid. Hey, why are you worried about him? Can't we just be comfortable? I think it's best to kill a few more, that would be fun. Let's see how the Imperial Battle Team will brutally destroy Shrek Academy. I can't wait. In the audience's suspicious attention, with a burst of dazzling lights, the Royal Fighter Team appeared on the stage. Yu Tianba put his hands in his pockets and walked at the front of the team. He enjoyed this feeling of being watched by everyone, as if he was the center of the world and everything revolved around him. And closely followed is the Deputy Captain Du Guyan. She is already very charming at a young age. She has a certain charm in her movements. Just one look can seduce the souls of men and make countless viewers feel extremely passionate. After that, there were Yu Feng, Oslo, and the four Shi family brothers. The last one walking was the mysterious nine-heart begonia soul master Yi Lingling. The 7 members of the Imperial fighting team stood on the field, set up their formation, and began to wait for Shrek to appear. Yu Tianba said, "Cut," disdainfully, seeming very impatient. But when the light shone on Shrek's entrance, only one person came out. Qi Ling walked out of the entrance silently, bowed his head slightly, walked to the ring without any expression, and then stood opposite the Imperial fighter team. All the audience and the host were confused. After the host repeatedly confirmed that there was no one else in the Shrek team, he had no choice but to announce that the Shrek team had finished their appearance and was about to start introducing the members of both sides. Under the ring, Director Ao looked at Qi Ling, who was alone, and felt that his teeth were about to be broken. He asked Flanders next to him, "What's going on, Flanders? Why did Qi Ling go up alone? Others, where are the people? Aren't the others from Shrek coming?" Flanders was about to answer when Dai Mubai beside him said, "Qi Ling alone is enough. If we go up, we can only become a drag on him." What? How could this happen? Isn't the power of 7 people inferior to the power of 1 person? Manager Ao asked in surprise. Dai Mubai smiled bitterly and said, "If it were anyone else, the 7 might be stronger, but for Qi Ling, he who doesn't have to take care of us is the strongest." Ma Hongjun also said with a smile at this time, "Director Ao, we are not going to play because we are afraid that if Boss Qi accidentally kills us, it will not be fun. After all, Boss Qi's mood has not been good since the beginning of today." Hearing that everyone at Shrek was so confident about Qi Ling, Manager Ao couldn't help but be confused. Is this Qi Ling really so powerful? After knowing that only Qi Ling was playing in Shrek, the Imperial fighting team also broke out into an uproar. Yu Feng sneered and said, "HMPH, it seems we are really underestimated. They actually think that only one person can solve us. They are really arrogant." Oslo licked the corner of his mouth and said cruelly, "How dare you humiliate us like this? I have to let him use blood to make up for this sin." As for Yu Tianba, he was extremely angry. The other party only sent 1 person, which clearly did not take him seriously. How could a conceited person like him accept this? At this moment, Qi Ling spoke. He looked at Yu Tianba and said to him, "Are you from the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex? Were you the one who caused Xiao Wu and Xiao San's injuries?" Yu Tianba was stunned when he heard Qi Ling call out his origin. However, after hearing these two names, he instantly understood that they should be the people who were seriously injured by him yesterday. It seems that this boy should be very important. The right talent. So Yu Tianba sneered and said sarcastically, "Ah, yes, they were injured by me, because they are too weak, and the weak will be trampled under the feet of the strong. It seems that they are very important people to you. Are you angry when you see them injured? Ha ha ha, you don't know, they were so badly injured. That woman couldn't even crawl, and she was beaten by me. The palm was knocked down from the ring, and I vomited blood on the spot. And that man was even worse. His abilities were completely defeated by me, but in order to take revenge, he refused to admit defeat and finally passed out. This was the first time that I had such a good fight. He was like a human punching bag." Quote. Listening to what Yu Tianba said, Qi Ling's face became as cold as ice. Everyone present felt a strange coldness, but they didn't know where the coldness came from. At this time, the host also began to introduce the players from both sides. The members of the Royal Do team had already appeared on the stage before, but Yu Tianba's perfect introduction still aroused everyone's amazement. Next, I want to introduce the only player from the Shrek team competing today. The host said, he is Shrek's killing player, nicknamed the undefeated god and demon, and his record is also completely it fits the title. Since participating in the competition, player Qi Ling has won all the games in which he played, whether it is single, double or team competitions. As long as he survives and wins today, player Qi Ling will break many records in the Grand Fighting Spirit Arena today. The fastest person to become a Golden Fighting Spirit, the person with the most consecutive wins in the beginning, and the youngest Golden Fighting Spirit won. Upon hearing Qi Ling's introduction, Yu Tianba snorted disdainfully and said, "Humph. That's just because he didn't meet me. If he meets me today, your winning streak will end." As the host's explanation is completed, the countdown indicating that the battle is about to begin also begins. During this time, the players on both sides can make preparations to their heart's content to ensure the fairness of the game. The members of the Imperial Fighting Team summoned their own martial souls one after another, and Yu Tianba was the first to bear the brunt. A faint blue light flashed, and a combination of 1 yellow and 2 purple super-level soul rings appeared, showing his considerable strength. The reason why Yu Tianba has such impressive strength is also related to his soul ring. You must know that the soul ring of the blue dot Tyrannosaurus must be a sub-dragon soul beast. It is extremely difficult to obtain. The combination of soul rings like Tianba's is unique. After the soul ring appeared, a cluster of dazzling blue light suddenly lit up from the center of Yu Tianba's eyebrows, instantly spreading throughout his body and turning into countless blue electric snakes. Under this lightning-like baptism, Yu Tianba's temperament instantly changed. On his right arm, there was a change that shocked everyone in the audience. A dragon claw appeared in that part, and the sharp claws opened and closed. During this time, he showed great power. After Yu Tianba, other members of the Imperial Fighting Team also possessed martial souls. The Shi brothers, Oslo, and Yu Feng each showed their own special qualities. It was because of them that this team became stronger. It is a complete body. But the most noticeable thing is Du Guyan's transformation. She has purple hair and green eyes, her breath has become extremely soft, and there is a diamond-shaped green scale between her eyebrows. And her legs merged into a thick snake's tail, relying on the snake's tail to support her body and swinging back and forth, adding a mysterious temperament. The impact of the collective martial spirit possessed by the machine immediately ignited the atmosphere at the scene. People couldn't help but want to see what kind of performance Qi Ling from Shrek Academy would perform. To everyone's surprise, Qi Ling did not show off his domineering martial spirit. Even until the countdown ended, he did not possess the martial spirit. Instead, he just stood there doing nothing. Everyone in Shrek couldn't help but feel strange when they saw Qi Ling's lack of movement. Ma Hongjun said, "What is Boss Qi going to do? Why haven't you summoned the spirit yet?" Dai Mubai thought thoughtfully and said, "Maybe he has some special skills. Maybe he wants to summon the martial spirit later." But until the countdown ended and the game officially started, Qi Ling still didn't make any move, leaving everyone unaware of his plans. Yu Tianba didn't care about this. He sneered and said, "Huh. He is pretending to be a ghost. I think he was frightened. Yu Feng, Oslo, you go test him first and see what he is doing." Yu Feng and Oslo agreed, and they launched a surprise attack on Qi Ling from the sky and the ground respectively. They violently attacked Qi Ling, but they were not blocked in any way. Under the attack of the two men, Qi Ling was immediately knocked to the ground, but did not react at all. He just stood up silently. HMPH, I want to see how long you can last. Yu Tianba gave a look, and the Shi brothers immediately understood, took off their tortoise shells, and rushed towards Qi Ling. Although they are defensive soul masters, the Shi brothers' attack abilities are absolutely outstanding, especially the attacks they launch with their own turtle shells, which are unrivaled. The two collided with Qi Ling, causing huge damage to Qi Ling. Blood flowed from Qi Ling's forehead and corners of his mouth, which looked particularly terrifying. But Qi Ling still didn't make any other moves. He just stood up and faced the Royal Do team. His posture was still upright and there was no sign of pain. Manager Rao in the audience saw Qi Ling being beaten and couldn't help but said anxiously, "What on earth is he doing? Why doesn't he fight back? Really, if this continues, isn't he destined to lose?" Everyone in Shrek also looked confused about this. They didn't know why Qi Ling didn't fight back or defend. Zhu Zuqing, who knew Qi Ling well, said at this time, "Qi Ling, I want to feel the same pain as Tang San Xiaowu." Everyone was stunned after hearing Zhu Zuqing's words, but Zhu Zuqing continued, "Qi Ling feels that the reason why Xiaowu and Tang San were injured is the result of his own lack of consideration, so doing this will make him feel better." Bar. But there's no need for Boss Qi to be like this. Ma Hongjun worried, after suffering such damage, can Boss Qi still win? Don't worry, as long as Qi Ling wants to win, no one can defeat him. Zhu Zuqing said confidently. When Yu Tianba saw that Qi Ling still didn't take any defense, he couldn't help but get angry. If he bullied a non-defense person like this, wouldn't he fail to show his power? Very good. You succeeded in irritating me, Qi Ling. Yu Tianba said, raising his dragon-turned right arm, then I'll let you try my strongest attack. Big Thunder. Quote. Along with Yu Tianba's soul power output, a series of astonishingly powerful lightnings hovered on his right arm. The strong thunder light made it difficult for people to open their eyes. Even the people around him couldn't help but retreat, for fear of being caught, spread too. At this time, Yu Tianba seemed to be the incarnation of thunder and lightning. The huge thunder and lightning group filled all the surrounding space, and everyone on and off the stage was shocked by it. This move, Big Thunder, is not one of Yu Tianba's soul skills, but a skill that comes with his soul bone. It can fully exert its thunder and lightning power and maximize its destructive power. Come out. Carrying the power of thunder, Yu Tianba suddenly jumped into the air, and then slammed his right arm towards Qi Ling. The thunder light directly enveloped Qi Ling's whole body, and powerful current flowed through every cell in Qi Ling's body, causing he suffered greatly. The power of the Big Thunder move displayed by Yu Tianba has already far exceeded the strength range of the Soul Master level. Even battles at the Soul King level are rare. The power of thunder cannot be touched by mortals. Everyone who saw the power of the thunder was shocked by the astonishing power and could not speak to themselves for a long time. With such power, even if a defensive Soul Master defends with all his strength, he may not be able to defend against it. And how can Qi Ling, who has not used his martial soul, withstand it? When the smoke dissipated, Qi Ling, who had fallen to the ground, appeared in front of everyone. His whole body was injured by lightning and was in a scorched state, with almost no intact skin left. The strong electric shock almost exhausted Qi Ling's physical strength and caused serious injuries to his internal organs. Ordinary people who were seriously injured like this would probably have died long ago, with no chance of survival. HMPH. You're like a chariot, you overestimate your own capabilities, you deserve it. Yu Tianba said disdainfully, then turned and walked away. Referee, please declare our victory, that kid can't continue fighting. Just when Yu Tianba was confidently preparing to walk out of the ring, behind him, the referee suddenly heard the exclamation. Along with this, the expressions of his teammates also became extremely shocked, as if something incredible had happened. Yu Tianba's heart sank, and then he immediately turned around and saw a scene that shocked him and would never be forgotten. Qi Ling, who was seriously injured and could hardly stand up, stood up from the ground like an undefeated god of war. No matter how many times he was knocked down, No matter how seriously injured he was, Qi Ling could stand up again, which made everyone in the Royal Do team feel, is this person immortal? Damn it, I still don't believe it. There is no one in this world that I can't defeat. Yu Tianba shouted angrily, and then the thunder and lightning attached to his right hand again, and he rushed towards Chi-Chi with great speed. Spirit. Seeing that Yu Tianba's punch was about to hit Qi Ling again, Qi Ling, who had been motionless, raised his right hand and caught Yu Tianba's punch. The dazzling lightning danced on Qi Ling's palm, but he seemed not to feel it and said calmly, "Is this your full strength? Then, I will defeat you, and destroy you like this. You should have no regrets, right?" While speaking, Qi Ling raised his head and glanced at Yu Tianba. It was this glance that made Yu Tianba break out in a cold sweat. He seemed to have seen something terrifying and stepped back in horror. "Boss, what's wrong? What happened?" Seeing Yu Tianba's appearance, Oslo and Yu Feng asked strangely, "Is there anything in this world that can scare the boss?" Only Yu Tianba knew what kind of eyes he had just seen. The anger contained in it was as if the whole person had been sunk to the bottom of a lake of magma and was about to be burned to death. No one knew why Qi Ling, who was obviously covered in scars and seemed to be about to fall down in the next second, could make Yu Tianba retreat in fear. Only Shrek and others understood what happened. Ma Hongjun felt himself exhausted and said, "Boss Qi, are you finally going to fight back? You scared me to death." Qi Ling, this annoying guy, why should he be beaten by them in vain? Really, Ning Rongrong said with red eyes. It seemed that Qi Ling was injured, and she was the one who suffered the most. "Look at it, Imperial Fighting Team, now let me show you how powerful our Shrek's sharpest spear and strongest shield is." Dai Mubai also said very excitedly, with a look of admiration in his eyes. As for Yu Tianba, how could he not know what Qi Ling meant? He activated his martial soul crazily, and the electric light all over his body vibrated. The soul mark of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex also lit up, and a Tyrannosaurus Rex appeared behind him. "Phantom. Come on, I want to see how you can defeat me in your current state," Yu Tianba said arrogantly. But in the next second, the arrogant look on Yu Tianba's face disappeared, because a suffocating pressure came from Qi Ling's body, and with a high-pitched dragon roar, a giant dragon soared into the sky. He stood up, hovered several times over the arena, and stopped over Qi Ling. The dignity of the Dragon Clan is supreme. Yu Tianba actually dared to insult Qi Ling like this, which had already angered the Dragon Emperor's martial spirit in Qi Ling's body. At this time, he was emitting bursts of dragon power, which suddenly made everyone terrified. The phantom of Yu Tianba's Tyrannosaurus Rex that was originally hovering above his head screamed and disappeared without a trace when the Dragon Emperor roared. Yu Tianba even took a step back with a pale face. Just the confrontation of martial spirit momentum made Yu Tianba's energy and blood surge, and he couldn't help himself. What a domineering martial spirit this was. After the Shenlong Emperor shocked the whole audience, he immediately rushed towards Qi Ling without stopping, and entered his body. Immediately, a dragon power similar to the one just now emanated from Qi Ling, even more powerful than before. What's more, just like Yu Xiaoging's previous evaluation of Qi Ling, it is not that Qi Ling was born specifically for these two martial spirits, but these two martial spirits were born specifically for Qi Ling. There is no other person in the world who can display the Shenlong Emperor's domineering power so fully. At this moment, he was the center of the audience, the focus of everyone's attention. The third soul skill, Golden Holy Dragon Armor. The yellow golden armor covered his whole body and also covered Qi Ling's scars. At this time, he could no longer see the shaky appearance he had before. He actually overwhelmed the presence of everyone in the Royal Do team with one person's power. "Damn it, you are trying to be mysterious. Don't think you can steal my limelight. I am the real protagonist here." Shocked by Qi Ling's power, Yu Tianba suddenly felt that he had lost face. So he forcibly suppressed the fear in his heart, and once again gathered the astonishing power of thunder and lightning on his right arm. The thunderous right arm bone once again exerted its power, releasing the power of thunder. Carrying this terrifying thunder, Yu Tianba jumped into the air again and attacked Qi Ling with his right hand, intending to bombard Qi Ling again like before. This time, Yu Tianba did get his wish. His attack hit Qi Ling again. The power of thunder was activated at full power, and he was bound to take down Qi Ling in one fell swoop. But what shocked Utianba was that his most powerful, big thunder, had no effect after hitting Qi Ling. How is this possible? How can you be fine? Utianba said in shock as he looked at Qi Ling, who was bathed in his own thunder and lightning, but nothing happened. In fact, there is nothing incomprehensible about this. Qi Ling's golden holy dragon armor is an all-round defense. This all-round refers to not only the protection of the whole body, but also the defense against all types of attacks. Even the most indefensible thunder and lightning can be isolated by the golden holy dragon armor, preventing Qi Ling from receiving any harm. Qi Ling looked at the shocked Utianba in front of him, but was in no mood to explain to him. He reached out a hand as fast as lightning, grabbed Utianba's neck, and lifted him up. Utianba wanted to break free from Qi Ling's hand, but Qi Ling was obviously not tall, but the strength in his hand was amazing, and she couldn't move a finger of his. Again, trying to compete with Qi Ling in strength is nothing more than a dream. Seeing that he could not break free, Utianba changed his strategy and began to attack the enemy with his dragon-shaped right claw. However, his violent attack landed on Qi Ling's golden armor. In addition to shaking his hand, didn't play any role at all. Let me go, Utianba said with his face flushed from holding back. Qi Ling's hand was like an iron clamp, locking his neck tightly, and then if this continues, the only possibility is for him to suffocate. Boss, let go of our boss. When Yufeng and Oslo saw Utianba being caught by Qi Ling, they immediately rushed forward to rescue Utianba. Qi Ling sneered disdainfully, and just held Utianba up, letting Yufeng and Osluo's attacks hit him. Qi Ling can completely defend against even the attacks launched by the super-level Utianba, so why would he care about the attacks launched by the two people from the agility attack system? They are just scratching his own itch. Yufeng, Oslo, retreat quickly, Du Guyan suddenly said to the two of them. The two people who failed to attack immediately gave up the fight and chose to retreat one after another. Then Du Guyan's eyes flashed with green light, and the third soul ring on his body suddenly lit up. Du Guyan's originally green eyes had completely turned purple at this time, and even the scales on the snake's tail were covered with a faint purple light. Then Du Guyan opened his mouth, and a thick poisonous mist immediately floated towards Qi Ling, and a fishy sweet smell emitted, making people feel nauseous and dizzy. Qi Ling did not dare to be careless about Du Guyan's poison, because the poison happened to be one of the attacks that he could not defend against. Bring Tianba back quickly, or I will kill you. Du Guyan narrowed his eyes and said coldly to Qi Ling. Qi Ling smiled nonchalantly and said, "Want me to give him back? Okay, take it." With that said, Qi Ling transferred Utianba to his left hand, and then his right hand was covered with a layer of soul power, and a soul ring lit up. The second soul skill, Tyrant Dragon Fist. When Qi Ling was about to punch, Du Guyan already knew what Qi Ling wanted to do, and immediately exclaimed, "No." But unfortunately it was too late. Qi Ling's punch hit Utianba's chest firmly, causing his chest to collapse. At the same time, his whole body seemed to turn into a cannonball, shooting rapidly. To the Imperial fighting team. If Utianba is not caught, he will fly out directly and lose the qualification to compete. To catch Utianba, who is like a cannonball, it also requires certain skills and strength. If Yufeng and Oslo dare to take action, they may fly out of the field with Utianba. At the critical moment, the Shi family brothers of the Imperial fighting team stood up. As defensive soul masters, they were the only ones who could possibly take over Utianba. But even if they could catch it, the two of them didn't dare to catch it directly with the turtle shell, otherwise Utianba might be smashed into pieces. Therefore, the two of them adopted the most stable method and directly inserted their turtle shells into the ground to use as support to ensure that they could withstand Utianba's impact. Then the two of them used their soul power to protect their whole bodies, and joined forces to perform their soul skills, fully prepared to face Utianba's impact. As soon as Utianba was taken into their hands, the expressions of the Shi family brothers immediately changed, because they did not expect that the power carried by Utianba would be so powerful that even their two defensive soul masters could not withstand it. Live. The tortoise shell that they used as a support immediately flew out. The two of them took Utianba and slid back a long way, almost falling off the edge. Only then did Utianba stop his impact. After successfully catching Utianba, the Shi brothers looked at each other worriedly. With such a strong impact, would Yu Tianba die directly? Fortunately, their worries were unnecessary. Yu Tianba had a strong body after all, and he barely coughed up a mouthful of blood, indicating that he was still alive. Tianba is still alive. Hurry up, Lingling, help him treat him. Shi brothers, Yufeng, Oslo, stop him. Seeing that Yu Tianba is still alive, Du Guyan immediately ordered others to launch defenses and treat Yu Tianba fights for time for treatment. As the descendant of Juxin Haitang, as long as Yu Tianba is still breathing, Yi Lingling can heal him and rejoin the battle. This is the power of their martial soul. When the other four heard this, they immediately formed their formation. The Shi brothers took back their tortoise shells and stood in front of them. They hid behind the tortoise shells. This was their strongest defensive posture. Yu Feng, on the other hand, used his flying advantage to hover in the air and constantly harass Qi Ling. He would swoop down from the air from time to time. It would be best if he could attack successfully, but even if he couldn't, he could still cause interference. As for Ghost Leopard Oslo, although he is also an agility-based soul master, he does not dare to harass Qi Ling head-on. Yu Tianba's fate is vivid in his mind, and he does not want to follow in Yu Tianba's footsteps. Facing the four people's defense, Qi Ling smiled disdainfully. He casually took out a rope and said, "You birdman, do you think you can fly?" With that said, Qi Ling threw the rope in his hand towards Yu Feng. After the rope left Qi Ling's hand, it seemed to have life. It actually wrapped around Yu Feng and tied him tightly. Got up. What is this? Yu Feng, whose wings were tied together, fell directly from the air and looked at the rope that bound him in horror and asked, "You haven't seen it, have you? Come to see it, it's called the Immortal Binding Rope." Qi Ling walked up to Yu Feng and said, "It would be a pity to use it to tie up a bird like you." With that said, Qi Ling kicked Yu Feng, knocking him unconscious. With Qi Ling's strength control, he would not think about it until the battle was over. After dealing with Yu Feng, Qi Ling looked at Oslo again. Oslo suddenly felt his scalp numb and immediately moved at high speed. "Damn it, don't think that I will be so careless and get caught by you." Oslo's speed is indeed very fast, and his martial spirit is also one of the top agility attack martial spirits. But it's a pity that Qi Ling's speed is faster than him. 3,000 thunderbolts. Thunderous flash. Qi Ling's body seemed to turn into a bolt of lightning in an instant, disappearing from the place, and then appeared in front of Oslo. Oslo suddenly saw Qi Ling appear, and his mind went blank in surprise. He didn't understand why Qi Ling had such terrifying power and such terrifying speed at the same time. Is this reasonable? This is unreasonable. But no matter what Oslo thought, it could not change the fact that he was caught up by Qi Ling. Then Qi Ling reached out, held down his head, and smashed it directly to the ground. With a sound of bang, Oslo's body stopped, his head smashed directly through the hard floor, and was buried in the soil. He didn't know whether he was alive or dead, and remained motionless. After dealing with them, it's your turn. Qi Ling walked directly to the Shi brothers without stopping and said. Although the Shi brothers were anxious about their teammates being killed, their weakness was speed. All they could do was put up their tortoise shells, firmly guard Yu Tianba behind them, and wait for Qi Ling to attack. Qi Ling looked at the two people who were defending with all their strength, and had no intention of using speed to bypass them. Since they were so confident in their defense, of course he had to defeat them in the aspect where they were most confident to be happy. Defensive Soul Master. The top defensive soul. Very good. What I like most are soul masters like you. Qi Ling approached the Shi brothers and laughed, but for the Imperial Fighter team to everyone, Qi Ling's smile was scarier than anything else. The defensive power of a defensive soul master is certainly terrifying, but for Qi Ling, there is no better opponent than this. Belong Fist. Double Dragon Club. Two equally terrifying soul powers attached to Qi Ling's hands respectively, and then he punched twice, hitting the turtle shells of the Shi brothers. In a crisp sound, the turtle shells of the Shi brothers cracked, and the two of them vomited blood and fell backwards. I've beaten the Soul King's turtle shell to pieces, let alone you. Qi Ling said, walking past the two of them with his hands behind his back, but did not attack them again. Du Guyan watched with his own eyes as Qi Ling acted casually and actually knocked back everyone from Huangdo's team one by one. At this time, Yi Lingling's treatment of Yu Tianba was not over yet. Stop, You are not allowed to come here again. Du Guyan stood up helplessly, not because Yu Tianba was so important to her, but because Yu Tianba was their only hope for victory now. Get out of the way or die. Qi Ling said coldly. HMPH, do you think I will get out of the way obediently? Then you underestimate me, Du Guyan said, opening his jade mouth, ready to spit out the phosphorus snake venom again. For Qi Ling, only his jade phosphorus snake venom could pose some threat to him before, so Du Guyan was confident that he could resist Qi Ling for a while until Yu Tianba recovered. But unfortunately, the jade phosphorus snake venom is one of the strangest poisons, and even Qi Ling has to avoid the edge for a while, but no matter how violent the poison is, it must be released in order to be effective. Just when Du Guyan was about to spit out the poison from his mouth, Qi Ling's figure instantly attacked him and came to Du Guyan. He reached out and grabbed her chin. Ah! Du Guyan cried out in pain. His chin was pinched by Qi Ling, and he couldn't close or open his mouth. He only felt a burst of pain. After all, the green phosphorus snake venom is just a soul skill of Du Guyan, not a toxin naturally stored in her body. At this time, being controlled by Qi Ling like this, she was immediately unable to use it. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? I know everything about your identity, background, origins. Even if your grandfather is that person, I won't be lenient. Qi Ling leaned into Du Guyan's ear. He said, sliding his other hand across Du Guyan's smooth back and placing it on her snake's tail. Even if you are now half human and half snake, in the end you are still a human being and your body structure has not changed. Qi Ling pulled Du Guyan's face closer and looked directly into her eyes. In this place, as long as I exert a little force, your lower body will never move. It will be useless even if the great Luo immortal comes. Do you want to give it a try? As Qi Ling released a little soul power on Du Guyan's snake tail, Du Guyan immediately felt a heartbreaking pain, and even the changes in the snake's tail could hardly be maintained. At the same time, from Qi Ling's eyes, Du Guyan read for the first time what death is and what terror is. She was afraid. She was fearless for the first time since she was born. Seeing the despair and helplessness in Du Guyan's eyes, Qi Ling knew that she had given up, alone. So he grabbed her hand and threw her aside. The only ones in front of him now were Yu Tianba, who had not yet been cured, and Yi Lingling, who was desperately trying to treat him. Yi Lingling was so frightened that he couldn't help but tremble. The Imperial fighter team had never experienced such a battle since its establishment, and they didn't even have time to treat themselves. And this is also because the damage Qi Ling caused to Yu Tianba was too great. His punch was completely merciless, as if he really wanted to kill Yu Tianba. When I took over the treatment of Yu Tianba, I realized that Yu Tianba had almost stepped into the gate of hell with one foot. Now I was competing with the Lord of Hell, and the treatment speed was already very fast. Qi Ling walked to Yi Lingling's side, but did not stop her from treating Yu Tianba. Instead, he gently put his hand on the top of her head with gentle and careful movements. Treat him quickly, cure him, and then treat the others as well. Qi Ling said to Yi Lingling calmly. What do you want to do? Yi Lingling was like a little rabbit being stared at by the big bad wolf Qi Ling, and could only tremble helplessly and pitifully. Nothing, I just didn't fight enough, so I want to fight again. Qi Ling's smile was as bright as the sun, but the words he said made people shudder. Looking at the person in front of her who was both an angel and a devil, Yi Lingling was afraid. This time, she was truly afraid from the bottom of her heart. Why would she provoke such a person? After the treatment for Yu Tianba was completed, Yi Lingling hesitated for a moment, then mustered up the courage to say to Qi Ling, I don't want to treat others. Qi Ling asked curiously, why? Because I cured them, you will knock them down again. Yi Lingling said, they can't beat you, I already know that. Oh, you are a kind-hearted child. Qi Ling smiled, if I say this to you, I should let you go. But it's a pity that you think so, but some people don't think so. Yi Lingling felt confused for a while, but at this moment, a thunder and lightning lit up behind her. Yu Tianba recovered and summoned his martial spirit again. Yi Lingling, treat them quickly. Yu Tianba said coldly, there is no way our Imperial fighting team will lose here. We must not. But, Yi Lingling wanted to say something else, but Yu Tianba suddenly raised his hand. Don't talk about those useless things, treat them quickly. Even if I die today, I will defeat him. Yu Tianba said with red eyes, otherwise, how can I wash away the humiliation in my heart? Yi Lingling, who was threatened by Yu Tianba, had no choice but to agree to his request. Qi Ling, who was standing by, watched this scene without any reaction, because what Yu Tianba wanted to do was the same as him. As the members of the royal fighter team recovered one by one, they seemed to have returned to their complete formation, but everyone knew that the current situation was completely reversed from the beginning. It was Qi Ling who had the absolute advantage. Are you ready? Facing the Imperial battle team, Qi Ling said calmly, if you are ready, then you can attack. It's just that I have to tell you first that I won't be merciful this time. Qi Ling's tone turned cold and he said without emotion, even Juxin Begonia can't be saved. Dead person, right? A suffocating murderous aura rushed towards Qi Ling's words, causing everyone in the Royal Do team to take a step back involuntarily, showing fear on their faces. No one is not afraid of death, especially when they learn that the opponent is a demon that they can never defeat and who doesn't care about killing people. Fear is the most normal human reaction. Yu Tianba looked at the reactions of his teammates and couldn't help but said angrily, what are you doing? What are you afraid of? Can you still be called the Imperial fighter team like this? Yufeng, Oslo, come on. Yufeng said with a panicked look on his face, boss, I really can't do it. His immortal binding rope can't defeat me. Oslo also looked away and said, boss, I don't have the courage to face him. Trash. They are all trash. Yu Tianba said angrily, brothers from the Shi family, what about you? The Shi brothers looked at each other, and one of them said, Tianba, we can no longer fight. Our Xuanwu turtle shells can no longer condense. Without the turtle shell, the Shi brothers have lost most of their fighting power. Even if they fight hard, it will not have much effect. Damn it, what's the use of you? Yanzi, what about you, you too? Yu Tianba finally looked at Du Guyan. Originally, he wanted Du Guyan to fight with him, but after seeing for a moment, Du Guyan was stunned. At this time, Du Guyan stared at Qi Ling motionless, with a look in his eyes that he had never seen before. It was a look that Yu Tianba had been looking forward to for a long time, but had never seen her shine towards him. After experiencing the fear of death, a special feeling for Qi Ling awakened in Du Guyan's heart. She, Du Guyan, had always played with others in the palm of her hand. This was the first time that someone could completely control her. I don't know why, but this feeling seems pretty good. When a person becomes obsessed with death, death will be full of charm for her. Du Guyan was filled with a strange feeling of fear and fascination for Qi Ling at the same time, wanting to escape but also couldn't help but want to explore. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.